just so delighted that you've come to share your family story. Jeannie Kay.
My beloved Margaret Mary was not only my little sister, she was also my dear friend. Margaret delighted in telling stories of people who touched her heart, like the young man, a total stranger, who held his umbrella over her rather than over himself as they waited together at the bus stop in the rain. As she would say, his mama had raised him right. She was proud to call Cincinnati home, living in a studio apartment at McGregor in Auburn until her death this June 6th. Because our father was diagnosed with colon cancer in his 40s, my doctor insisted that I get screened for it earlier than is typical. I am lucky she did. I've had numerous polyps removed, which, if left undetected, may well have ended my life. Now that colon cancer has become an unwelcome guest in successive generations of our family, my siblings and their children need to be screened early and often. But our access to these critical tests depend on our individual economic circumstances. We all need these tests, but we may not all get them. Though Margaret and I shared similar risk factors, the difference between us is that my sister had no job and she had no health insurance. Even as she felt herself growing sicker and sicker, she kept her worries to herself. Being very private and fiercely independent, she was not the sort to ask for help. She knew she was in no position to pay for the kind of care she feared she needed. Some claim that the poor in our communities can rely on the hospital emergency room to provide their care. But it's crazy to think that you can afford diagnostic tests and hospital stays if you can't even afford office visits and preventative care. Anyone who lacks adequate resources knows it doesn't take long to accumulate medical bills that can never be paid off in a lifetime. Indeed, Margaret had medical bills that survived longer than she did. When she could no longer walk far enough to answer her front door, her friend scooped her up and headed for the ER. There, her stage 4 colon cancer was diagnosed, having already spread to her lungs and her liver. Her illness was not survivable. It was a diagnosis too late. But what truly breaks my heart is that my sister Margaret's story is by no means unique. Margaret is merely emblematic of what the Affordable Care Act means to the most vulnerable among us. The downsized and the outsourced who lose their health care when they lose their jobs. People who work low-wage jobs that don't provide health insurance. Our loved ones in nursing homes who have exhausted their life savings. When my family and I discovered that the nuns on the bus would be in Cincinnati on June 24th, just 2 hours after Margaret's memorial service, and only a mile away from where she had lived, we decided that meeting these brave women would be our personal tribute to Margaret's memory. Here were religious sisters speaking truth on behalf of people much like my own sister, that access to health care and the other fibers of the social safety net meet essential human needs. Though this is a political season, this is not a matter of political ideology. It is a matter of life and death. When I was invited to speak to you today, I kept wondering what Margaret would have me say. When she was diagnosed, my sister made a personal goal of living long enough to vote in this November's election. She did not. And so, on Margaret's behalf, I pray that each and every one of you will vote this November as if lives depend upon it, because they do.
I have to show you what I carry in my Bible now, because when they came to Over the Rhine, they brought me Margaret's picture, and she travels with me everywhere. So I think after that, Jeannie, I think I have to take my Bible with me to the ballot box. Margaret will vote. Margaret will vote. Ugh, I have to cry. Thank you.